And welcome back. Now the last thing we need to do before we can put this character into a sprite sheet is add kind of a glowing effect to this torch. Now we do have the fire here, but if this was, for example, against a dark background, let's just say we were to fill this completely in with black, let's say he's running through a cave or something like that, this light source would give off some kind of radiant glow. And we do have some illumination on the character himself, but of course we can go ahead and add in some more effects here with this light source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start first on the whatever my first frame is. I'm going to go to my layers panel and add a new layer. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose a yellow. And I'm going to make it very, very light. That looks okay. And then all I'm going to do is on that new layer, I'm just going to paint over the pixels that had that flame on it. And then once that is done, I'm just going to go ahead and do a filter. I'm going to blur, and down here we have several different options in here. And the one we want is this Gaussian blur, so we're going to just click on that. We can leave our radius set to 1 pixel. And you can see now, you may not be able to see here as much because, again, I have this whole background. But if I were to go back to my other layer here real quick, and let's just go ahead and fill that layer in with our fill bucket tool, make that black. And you can see now that blur has really helped make that area kind of pop out there. So we can really have kind of that nice good effect of glowing around this light source. Alright, I'm actually going to do that here on my other layers real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and fill those in with a black, just so that way we have this kind of same effect here. And we can always, if we had to, remove that black layer if we need to. This is just my outline, so I'm not worried about him. But one thing you'll notice is that as I move through these layers here, you saw that that light source stayed there. And it's because this light source that we set up is only good for this top layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to merge that layer down. So now it's part of that running layer 2. And then I can go ahead and hit my next frame here and go to that one and say, okay, well, that was layer 1. If I go to layer 2, what's the next thing to do? Layer 3, etc. So on and so forth, to go ahead and go through these different pieces here to say what are the pieces that I need to do to make this happen. And so we can again use our pencil tool. Go ahead and grab that same yellow that we had before, and if you don't have it, you can always eye select it, or if you want to change it a little bit, you can do that as well. Because again, you're going to apply that filter to it. But just make sure you make a new layer first, and we're going to do that for each one of our layers here. In fact, I can just go ahead and add new layers in for each of these just to remind myself. And once that layer is created, I can go ahead and apply that filter again, create that blur effect. And I can go ahead and merge that layer down. So now it is permanently part of this layer. Alright, and you can go ahead and do that. In fact, I challenge you to go ahead and do that in all of our other character animations here. Go ahead and fill those in with this nice effect here. And do that so that way we have our black background, just so that way we can really see this blur animation kind of pop out here. If you don't do that, of course, remember it won't necessarily be as visible because we have that transparent background. But just for now, you can fill that in with black. We can always take the black layer off. But again, I challenge you to go through and do that in every layer here on your sprite here for both the idle, jump, and our run cycle here to really kind of get that final animation all put together. Because it's really going to add just a little bit more flavor here before we go ahead and put everything into our sprite sheet. And just to see that effect in play here for each of my animations, let's go ahead and view that here. So here we have our idle animation with that glow effect in. I have my jump animation now with that glow effect. And lastly, we have our run animation with that glow effect. And so you can see how it just adds just a little bit more layer to our image. And now that these are all put together, in the next video, let's go ahead and take everything we've done here and take each of these different animations and combine them into a single spreadsheet. Rather than one spreadsheet for each individual animation, we're going to use one spreadsheet that's in charge of all three.